Yo, what is up, guys? So today we're going to take a look at a post and someone is trying to decide between an offer at Apple or Roblox. So let's just go ahead and jump right in. The title of this says 450K at Apple versus 600K at Roblox. What would you choose? He says that the role at Apple is an ICT4, which is a level, and 450,000 total comp for this year. And he says that it's a safe job with good work-life balance. The Roblox offer is an IC5 level, 600K total compensation offered. He says that there's a younger manager and he's not sure about the work-life balance. And he's got 10 plus years of experience. Let's just go ahead and take a look at the poll here. It looks like 57.7% say Roblox and 42.5% says Apple. All right, so let's start driving here. All right, so this guy's obviously a very talented engineer or data scientist or a business manager, especially for a level that IC4, IC5 is typically an individual contributor. I think the levels might be a little bit different over at Roblox because I've never actually worked there, but I have been at Apple before, and an IC4 is typically like a a mid-level IC or maybe even a senior. And wow, $450,000 total compensation versus $600,000. He didn't mention where he lives, so I don't know if he's in California or if he's working remotely. Either way, that amount of money is a pretty significant amount of compensation. So kudos to you, man. Great job getting that offer. But he talks a little bit about the management structure between the two, the management style and type, the work-life balance comparison there. So, you know, ultimately, you know your situation and what you value and what's important for you. So I would, weigh those things accordingly. But just looking at the current climate that we're in right now with the markets in turmoil, I know Roblox had also gone through some layoffs, I think late last year in 2022. Apple, to my knowledge, they haven't really done major layoffs, so they've been pretty stable. And I think part of the reason is because, Tim Cook, as a very shrewd operator, he plans very well, and I think out of all the tech CEOs, he's probably the one that has been the most conservative in terms of not overhiring or overinvesting. And I'm sure he knew that 2023 was going to be a tough year and that they needed to staff up accordingly, but also take the right investments and not go spending like crazy like some of these other tech firms. So I think Apple is definitely, your assessment is correct. Apple is going to be probably the more stable, secure choice at this point. So if you're ever concerned about layoffs, then that should also be something to consider. Considering your salary, I mean, I'm going to guess that you're some sort of a machine learning or AI engineer, or something to do in a very technical field that is very hard to replicate. So to be honest with you, I don't think you need to worry too much about job security. Just assuming based on the offer that you received, you probably have a very, very desirable skill set in the tech industry. And if you were to get impacted at one company, I'm sure there would be a line of other companies to snatch up your services. So that's going to be sort of my assumption. But $150,000 is a pretty decent chunk. He also didn't talk about whether this is made up in terms of bonus, stock, and equity, but assuming that they're pretty comparable in terms of the vesting schedule. Obviously, at $600,000, you're probably going to pay a lot more in taxes. Obviously, you're going to net a lot more with that salary. And so, if you have a family, if you have kids, if you have a certain lifestyle or goals that you want to accomplish, like buying a house in the Bay Area or something like that, then I think the Roblox offer does make sense. The gaming industry, if you compare consumer electronics, which is what Apple is in, versus digital games and the metaverse, obviously we know the whole NFT metaverse space has gone through a major bear downturn, so that's also something to consider. I think it will come back when the technology and the use cases make a lot more sense for end consumers, but that's still to be determined. But I think Roblox is here to stay, like any of the big major tech companies, including like Meta. I think they have a pretty interesting product, and they've captured a lot of the audience, especially among the youth and the kids. So I think it's a tough choice, man. Do you value the money or do you value the work-life balance? Depending on the role as well, Apple could be pretty demanding. I remember when I was there during my 6 years working for the company, there were some times when it got really busy, but for the most part, it was a pretty stable 9 to 5. I don't know what the situation is at Roblox, so I would highly recommend that you check out the forums, check out the blind threads, Glassdoor, do your own primary research and talk to people who work there. But that's my 2 cents on it. in my situation, I might take the chance and go with Roblox, just assuming that if I were to get impacted and lose my job, that I could find something else. Because $150,000 is nothing to sneeze at. Although, you know, $450,000 versus $600,000, you're still going to be in the top, you know, 1 to 2%, you know, wherever you are. So great job either way, man. Hopefully this helps other people who are also in a similar position. I know right now is a little bit of a more difficult time because getting jobs and with all these different layoffs that are happening, it's probably a little bit more difficult for most people to get these kinds of job offers. But either way, if you're ever in this kind of position, those are some of the factors to consider. You also talked about the manager. You know, manager for me, like I said in one of my previous videos, makes a huge difference. If your manager is someone who has empathy, who is willing to coach you, someone who is reasonable, logical, and not emotional, then I would also heavily index that factor as well, because your manager can basically make or break a job. You know, I mentioned this a couple of times that, you know, in one of my previous videos, especially during my time at Google, I had a really tough time with one of my managers, and it just completely ruined that last, you know, year or so. If you find a good manager, stay with him or her and make the most out of it, because you're also going to thrive, you're going to be successful, you're going to be happy, all those things. Anyways, guys, those are kind of my thoughts on this poll. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. What would you do if you were in this kind of position? And we'll catch you guys in the next video. Peace.